Hi, my name is Kate Nelligan. I am an equine partnered life and business coach, animal communicator, healer, author, and speaker. Essentially, what I do is I help people transform through the power of the human animal bond, and specifically with horses and with goats at this time. And I am also the founder and creator of Awakening with Equines, which is a certification program for first or next level equine partnered coaches to really learn how to do this work if it is their purpose and calling to do so. I'm really excited to share my mystical awakening story with these incredible beings called horses. And actually, I have donkey story as well. So it's really about the equines. Essentially, I've been a lifelong horse lover and horse girl, horse obsessed as a kid, read all the books and watched all the movies, and was lucky enough that my mom introduced me to horseback riding at a young age. And I truly found them to be a place where I grew my confidence. I felt more empowered around them. I felt really heard and seen and loved and understood by them. And I was bullied in school. I was actually neighed at for my love of horses. And I really felt like I could relate more to animals than humans for a while. And essentially, life kind of happened, and I ended up in a corporate environment. I was doing marketing for a movie studio for a while. And during that time, I got my master's in spiritual psychology, and I was in my own wake up process since I was an atheist for most of my life. And I started to have a lot of existential experiences I couldn't explain. My intuition was really active. I was highly sensitive and an empath, and I just didn't have any context for a lot of this. And so I really was grateful to find a program where I could study spiritual psychology, which is really about emotional intelligence skills. And when I graduated, I had such higher levels of self-love that I said, I have to get back into riding. I had taken about 10 years off. And I found an incredible horse named Felici, and her name means happily or happiness in Italian. And that's really what she was about in my life at the time. I started to transition out of my corporate career to become a conscious media entrepreneur and a life coach. And then I realized that the horses were incredible partners in this healing landscape. And I had no idea that they could work with us in this capacity. But at the time, the woman who owned the ranch where I was leasing Felici was doing equine therapy, equine assisted psychotherapy with addicts in rehab and recovery in Malibu, California. And I sat in a session and I saw transformation in 2 hours that took 2 years in my master's program. And I said, what is happening here? I watched horses put their heads on people's hearts to really help them get out of their head and into their hearts. I watched people who were ready to kind of give up on life, find new hope and new inspiration through this connection and love that they were receiving from these horses. And so I said, this is it. I found my calling. I am doing this full time, and actually really transitioned out of entertainment. We love conscious media and support it. And it's super needed. And I really needed to dedicate my life at that time to understanding the horses at a greater capacity and really helping people both one-on-one and in groups to have these sort of breakthrough experiences, to heal their inner children, to really be in their authentic self and learn these true nature qualities of compassion and trust, vulnerability, intimacy, deeper relationship, and better communication, all things that the horse naturally teaches through their way of being and who they are in the world. They're prey animals and they could be afraid all of the time, but they're not. They're in relaxed alertness. And I just found that they held this key or this map to how we could be better versions of ourselves. So hence me studying and learning and then creating my own certification program to teach others. But Felici really had a very pivotal kind of mystical moment, which really changed everything for me. I was coming out of still being in this type A go-getter space from corporate America and kind of reconditioning myself and my drive and my ego. And I was in the arena with just her. And I was doing this exercise, which we call leadership in a box. And you literally have poles on the ground and you ask a horse to move and stand in between these poles for a few seconds without any tack. And I'm a lifelong horse person. I thought I could do this easily, and I couldn't. And I was really task focused. I was very much concerned about doing it within the time period and getting it done. And it was all about the results. And I really needed to learn the important lesson and have the wake up call that the relationship had to come first, that the love and the presence and the connection would lead to the results. And so it was very much letting go of kind of an old masculine drive energy or very type A perfectionist way of being to really the way of the horse, which is slow, present, calm, connected, clear. And I remember kind of falling to the ground in this breakdown where I said, I can't do it. I'm a horrible leader. I don't understand why I'm not able to do this. And I heard her say, lead with love. And I had not heard the horses before. And I literally turned to her. Her back was to me, and she was in the arena because she was frustrated with me. And I said, did you say that? And she turned around and looked right at me and walked right over to me and put her head over mine. And I just felt like she was dripping love over me. And I just started sobbing. And she said, yes, lead with love. And I realized that in that moment, that who I was had to really change. Like what I was doing was not working for me anymore. And that's a lot of the people that I work with now. I do corporate team buildings and leadership trainings and help people realize when work isn't working for them anymore, they need to change. And I am so grateful that she opened up my intuition to be able to hear the horses, and that I've had so many great conversations with them since, and that she really helped me to see that it was about the relationship, that was the priority, and really the relationship with myself, first and foremost, my compassion with myself, my breath, being in my body, being connected to my heart, and then the connection to her, and that through that partnership and really the energy the horses ask us to be in relationship with them is joy. And so from that place, then I was able to kind of easily just visualize this exercise, and it would happen in seconds. And it was so much more fun that way as well. And so she really, truly taught me what happiness was. And she had to transition within a year because she had melanoma. And we were treating it, and literally I would have like blood running down my hand, helping her heal, and cleaning up the tumors on her tail. And she did teach me so much about leading with love, and it's still very much a guide from the other side. I talk to her daily. I feel her. You can sense my emotion for her. There's so much there. She guides my work, and I still feel connection after many years of her transitioning. And I get the sense, at least this is what she's told me, is that she greets beings when they cross over. Her death was somewhat traumatic, and I was with her in meditation when it happened. I was not able to be there in person. Her human, who was at the time, because she lived closer to her. And I basically, helped her cross during that time. And I get the sense now, at least from what she's told me, that she's these beautiful Pegasus wings, and she greets people and animals as they transition and cross, so it's less scary for them and they get more acclimated. Of course, I have no proof of this, but do we have proof of the mystical? It's just our true experience of what we have heard or felt or seen and or intuited, all of our different senses. And so I'm just so grateful for her, because she really kickstarted me doing this work. After she passed, I really doubled down and I committed to doing this work in equine partnered coaching, and wanted also me to have another horse, because right after she passed, I met my first horse that was officially, I was the horse mama. I don't like to use the word own, who was named Lindsay. And she was a rescue horse that was literally almost going to be euthanized twice because she wasn't rideable or usable in the traditional sense. And she's an incredible healer. And she was my horse for several years before my current horses, before she passed. And she she taught me so much about healing. Her and I would do table session work where we would put a massage table down. And I have so many videos and photos of her putting her nose in different places where people were hurting physically or emotionally, and really clearing up the energy, and hearing so many miraculous stories. One of a girl never having to use her inhaler anymore. And Lindsay was working right here for a while, pushing her nose into this woman's nose, and she didn't have to use her inhaler after that. So there's so many beautiful stories of healing, and I believe the horses are at higher vibrations. They are evolved in their obviously they have larger guts, they have much larger hearts, 5 times the size of ours. So that electromagnetic frequency of that heart space is really truly transforming us, just being in their presence. And there's research by Heart Math and around coming into coherence with them, and heart rate variability changing. So it's really cool, neat stuff, but I truly believe they are high-level healers and spiritual teachers, and they have truly been my guides, both here on earth as well as in spirit. And I'm super grateful to have a story actually on the donkeys in this book, Animals by Common Sentience. So I have one in there. And then I also work with nature, of course, and all of wildlife, and we're in sessions with the goats and the horses. And I have a book on the trees in nature as well, and how the trees are doing really powerful grounding and healing work. The goats are a whole nother story for another time. They're also my spirit animal. They teach really fun things like playfulness and curiosity, which people need more of. But for now, I will leave you with just the power of the horse, which if you take a moment and just picture a horse breathing nostril to nostril with you, you will feel filled with their presence and that spirit of majesty and power and beauty and presence. And you can just let your whole being fill with it and feel into who would you be if you were more horse-like, and how much more powerful would your life be? So if this is of interest to you and you want to find, I travel to different ranches. I'm located outside of Boulder, Colorado, but I travel to Los Angeles, California frequently, and I do virtual work as well. And then, of course, the certification program, if you're considering equine coaching for your own career, please reach out to me. And I'm also happy to send you resources locally as well. And I am at katenelligan.com as my website, or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Kate Nelligan Equine Coach, also YouTube, LinkedIn, all the great places where we're sharing content and inspiration and teachings of the horses. So thank you so much. It was so great to be with you.